Hey, good morning and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reassembling a very beautiful Elgin pocket watch. As you can see on the left hand side, here are the details for the pocket watch, the serial number, the grade. It's a 1912 pocket watch, so it's pretty old, and it is a 16S, which is the size of the pocket watch. So it's not an 18, which is a huge one, it's a 16. 15 joule movement, not too bad for that time, in the hunting configuration, and the case has got a case cover, so it's a hunting configuration, means 12 o'clock is at the 9 o'clock position, not at the 12 o'clock position. Is that right? I think it is right. Anyway, so the run was 87 of 233 for the run on this Elgin pocket watch. Nickel movement, pennant setting, it's a going barrel, and rubies, the jewels are rubies, and Mosley regulator, and I'll get into that a little later. A Breguet hairspring, Breguet, I love that name, Breguet hairspring. So this watch had a few little issues. Let me grab my tweezers here. One of the issues was there was a plate with a jewel that was cracked, so I had to replace the jewel on this watch. Let me see which one. I remember which one it was. I think it was this one right here. This one right here. So I had to replace this jewel in the watch. As well, I had to clean all this stuff up. I clean my watches in lighter fluid, so I don't smoke while I'm cleaning watches because it's very dangerous. It can cause all the hair on your face to go away. So I clean these watches in lighter fluid. It leaves no residue. I haven't had any issues to date. I use very high grade oil when I do the oiling of the watch as I reassemble it. Try to wear a glove, one of these gloves, as you can see, so I can basically handle the movement with this hand while I use my tweezers to do the precision work on screws and other things. I also had an issue with this watch as the mainspring. I have it over here, I think. The mainspring was set. I stretched it out a bit, but it was still a set mainspring. So I went and I bought a brand new mainspring from cousins.uk.com. Great site. UK is having a little issue these days with Brexit, I think, trying to get parts back, just basically logistics issues, trying to get parts out to other countries. So it took a while to get that mainspring, but they are an excellent company. So the mainspring is in this little container here. This is how it came, and of course there's a little tiny metal mainspring container in there, and we'll be taking that out and installing the mainspring. I will probably unwrap that mainspring by hand and then wrap it into the barrel by hand, because I kind of like the control doing that. The only thing I have that might be a flaw here, I'm not sure how flawed it is, but it's very difficult to do with the gloves on. I'm going to try to do it with gloves on so I don't get any moisture on the mainspring itself, which might cause corrosion in the future. But it's really difficult to do it with gloves on. If I can't do it with gloves on, I'll do it without gloves on, but I'll make sure that the mainspring is slightly lubricated, so that'll prevent the corrosion. It should prevent the corrosion. So I'll just put a light oil, like a 9010 oil on it, so I don't have any issues there. So other than that, there's no other issues with this pocket watch, I don't believe. So we're going to reassemble this watch today, and then we're going to test it. I can't really remember, but I believe I did all the work on the balance and the hairspring earlier. I've dunked it and I've cleaned it and I've taken the jewel out of it and all of that. I had a previous video on the disassembly and cleaning of this particular pocket watch, so I have it should be fine. I'm going to go back to my old video and just see where I left off. That way I know exactly what I'm up to. So this is not a high-end movement, but the case is just gorgeous. So we're going to get into that. I think, let me see if I can snap this case open and on camera. This is just a gorgeous pocket watch case. It'd be nice if the gentleman I'm doing this work for would take this pocket watch case and put like a 21 joule or a 23 joule movement in there. So it's a gorgeous case. So I got to make sure that that is put together very nicely. And I always put a little bit of oil on the joints on the case. And I got this cool new tool that I really don't need to use today. And let me just reach back. If you see some crazy crap going on with my green screen, it's not my fault, okay? It's not my fault. Where is that crazy tool that I got? I need to go get crazy tool time. Where are you, crazy tool? Where are you? You've disappeared. So this crazy tool is used by magicians to make stuff disappear, I think. Man. Oh, there it is. Found it. Reach! Reach! Don't pull a muscle. Reach! Reach! I got it. I went right behind that castle and picked up the tool. So the crazy tool is this thing. So I don't know if you've ever seen one of these tools before, but these tools, let me push this out of the way so I don't drop it on the hairspring and don't drop it on the balance. I'm using my balance tack my dual balance tack that lets the balance rest there. And so this crazy tool opens up like that and closes like this. So if I pause for a few seconds and let you guess what that tool is, what do you think this tool is used for? And I'm going to pause for 5 seconds here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't know what the heck it's used for. So I'm not even going to go to 5. What it's used for is adjusting this, and I have to say the word jobby doohickey because somebody online, I was on the Watch Repair Talk blog, and he said, and I put another tool on there. I grabbed another tool, which was this tool here, and I said, does anybody know what this thing is? And I got a couple of answers for it, and one of the guys from Germany said, I think this thing is a jobby doohickey. So I said, you've been watching my foolish videos, haven't you? So anyway, it's a jobby doohickey. So this little hook here, or latch here, is used when you close the case like this. You push the crown down on the crown like this to move it, and then you close the case, and then you let go, and this stays in place, right? So when you open up the pocket watch, it catches the edge there. So if this thing is this jobby doohickey is worn a bit, you actually go into it like this with this tool. You grab the edge of this, and then you go down on like this, and you push it in, and that it will move this out just slightly, right? So it'll give it a little bit more catch on it. But I believe you have to take out the stem, take off the crown, and take out the stem to make that adjustment. Otherwise, you're going to ruin the stem on the watch, because this, although there's an opening there, this jobby doohickey, I believe, is meant to do this sort of thing right on the edge, and not to go right in there. So I don't want to touch this too much because it might leave a mark or something. So that's what this tool is for. Pretty cool tool, if I do say so myself. So that's a tool. Now we'll be able to do some minor adjustments on pocket watch cases if I have to. It's pretty rare. I think I have a few pocket watches that have that problem, so I'll go attack those pocket watches with this tool. So, which you can hear them scream, right? So I'm going to not use this tool today, but I just wanted to show it to you because it's yet another tool, right? You can't have too many tools, as they say. So, and I will be using my Myers, M-E-Y-E-R-S, number 58 movement holder, which is a godsend. Look at it, that thing comes out like that, and then you just slide that back in like this, and then a little button on the side you press, and it moves it in and out, and then you fine tune it with the screw here, and it is perfect for reassembling these movements. So, and the Myers, M-E-Y-E-R-S, number 58 movement holder, it is probably 1958 as well. So there it says number 58 Myers, M-E-Y-E-R-S, and it doesn't even have a patent pending. It's got a patent on it. So Myers number 58, patent, like General Patton probably designed this, I think. That's why it says patent, and it has his number on the back, which it was probably his military number. That's what it was. So I'm going to do this work today and reassemble this watch. And I got shit the other day from a gentleman who said, "Hey, you're not talking during your reassembly," and I kind of think the video's boring without you saying stuff. And that day I kind of had the radio on in the background. I was listening to the local radio station, listening to news, chilling out, relaxing. thinking, you know, this time I just want to do some watch work on this Swiss. This is a Swiss fake pocket watch, and not have to say a darn thing. So that's why I wasn't talking that time. But I do like to chatter, so I think that I think you appreciate some of the dialogue, whether it's good or bad. So I'm going, and I do say so a lot. So. And Canadians, we are Canadians. I am a Canadian. We say so, and we say sorry, and we apologize for everything. I've said that before. If you step on a Canadian's foot, the Canadian will say sorry. That's how that works, okay? So I did it again. So start with that. Just before, I'm going to do a just before, another just before. And I know you're just anxious to see what I'm going to talk about, but I bought a new tool. So you must remember, you remember the dual tack that I kind of invented and designed and built. So the dual tack, so it's like dual overhead cam engine, 444 barrel with a Hirsch shifter. How do you like that for memory? This is a dual tack, and then the balance is nicely resting on this little piece of material here that's glued on. That was the dual tack. And then I have the infamous dunker tank that my wife wants me to call this the dunker tank. So that's the dunker tank, and I've been able to put watch balances and use this, just put this on here, and then I put this down, and then I can wheel this thing up, and I clean the balance, put lighter fluid in here. No smoking while you're using lighter fluid, and I just wheel this thing up like this, and it goes up, and the dunker tank goes up, and it dunks in the balance, and you pay $1 and you get to dunk the balance. So that's the dunker tank, and I thought that's a pretty cool tool. Then I did some googling, that's a verb, and I found this cool tool. So this thing here, and I'll have another, I'm going to do another video on this one, I think, because if you want me to, please comment, because I'm going to do another video on this. So I bought this from, I believe it's made in China, I'm not sure, but this is an all brass tool, and it's the same kind of concept as my dunker tank, where you can work on the watch, where you can work on the balance, but this is kind of cool. So this tool here, you have the, and it doesn't work with pocket watch balances, but you have the watch balance here, and let me just take this off the end here, and I just took an old Russian watch movement, and I will use the other side. See if I can do this. This would be pretty cool. I'm going to use the other side of the dual watch movement. Look at that. So there you go. That's two balance staffs that like each other, I guess. Anyway, so this thing here, you end up, you unscrew this. So this is a screw in the bottom, right? That's fairly fine screw. So fine threads on that. There's a piece of brass and a top with knurling on it, and a balance, the balance tack. So this is the tack itself. So what you do is you put the balance, and this comes with two more that are smaller. So this is for watches and not for pocket watches. You put this on top, but you adjust where the balance tack goes. It goes closer to the by tightening it. Let's see if I can do that, or loosening it. Yeah, loosening it. So that's threaded. The tack itself is on a block that's threaded, and so that moves like that. So it goes. I'm assuming that's the sound it would make if it was electric. So it goes, and then it gets closer, and you use a smaller tack for it, or it gets farther, so you can put watch balances on there of different sizes. It does not work for pocket watch balances. I tried, and the pocket watch balance would be over too far. So, but these little babies, what you do is you wheel it down like that, and then you put the balance on it. I know I'm chatting too much, and I should basically do a different video on this one here. And you put the balance down. There's a hole in the top of that brass knurled top on there. So you could just either screw it up like this, and it rises up to catch the balance, and the balance actually rests on it. So this also provides a way of to work on the balance if you want to, if you've got anything to do with the balance, but it actually relaxes the hairspring as it's up there. So, and this thing is heavy. It's really, really heavy. So it's a big chunk of brass. So it didn't cost me much. It was like maybe $50 or something from China. I think I bought it off of AliExpress. Actually, no, I think I got it off eBay. It might have been eBay, but I think it was either from China or Hong Kong. But pretty, The ingenuity is amazing, my friends. The ingenuity is amazing. So I thought for a while that I was the smartest guy making tools on YouTube. That's a comic pause, because I know I'm not the smartest guy making tools on YouTube. So I'm probably the 50 millionth smartest guy. So the minute you think you're the smartest guy, go look up, Google something, and you'll be amazed at other people and how bright they are. So the world's full of smart people. Just like my guitar playing. People say, hey, how come you don't play blues for a living? Then I go and on YouTube, and there's a 10-year-old kid that's, if he had long hair and he drank a lot, would be Stevie Ray Vaughan. But he isn't, and he doesn't, but he plays amazing guitar. And I just searched 10-year-old blues guitar players, and there's tons of them out there. So, or 3-year-olds that are playing Tchaikovsky or Beethoven or something on the piano. So, is that right, Tchaikovsky? I don't know, something on the piano. So anyway, this is the new movement holder anyway for watches, and I'll be using this when the next time I do a watch. And I do have some watches I got to work on. There's some vintage watches I'm going to work on. So I'm going to get that out of the way, put this back in the way. A shout out to a few people. So I'd shout out to Bori out there in the land of watches. This is actually Bori's watch, so I got to make sure I do a good job on this. And hopefully he enjoys my work. I think he does. And a shout out to Kevin. I know I said hi to Kevin, but hi Kevin, how you doing? Hope you're watching this video. If you're not, I'm going to test you later. So there'll be questions like how many moles are there in a molecule? 6.03 times 10 to the 23 moles in a molecule. What is the formula for some chemistry formula? PV over nRT. What is 6.23 times 10 to the negative 23? What is that? Is that right? I think so. What is that? Why can't you see electrons? What is a mouse when it's spinning? Because the higher it goes, the fewer. It's an old British gentleman told me that. And my Indian is Ekapanabaji, they are team Walos, an Ababwalo, a Burabwalo, and a Cholawala Chickabwalo. And they all live together on the Bacha, on the Lakri. Ekdam Mem Sub Goldilocks, decoed the team Walos. Acha, 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 she bolowed. You got to speak more than one language in this world, because there's lots of very good and very interesting people out there, and it's good to meet them and say hi. And if you can say Assalamu alaikum, or how you doing, or how's she going, eh? That's Canadian for hi. Or if you're down south, you folks got to know what I'm doing there with this pocket watch that I'm working on. You got to have that lower southern drawl, and most people don't even know where y'all is from. There you go. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and start working on this watch, and I'll see you a little later. Alrighty then, let's get all this stuff out of the way. Need to get this out of the way. Let me put the case here on this nice little piece of paper. I'm going to move the balance and the balance cock and all this stuff out of the way as well as I reassemble this. So that's the last thing that'll go on. And also I'm going to cover this balance up just a tad so I don't get any dust on it. So I've had that covered for quite a while, and I ordered a few more of these cases here. Let me lower my seat. Oh my god, I'm falling. And I'm not going to wear my new glasses for this right now, because I want to get a clip on the top of these things so I don't scratch the lens when I put my loop on. So I can see a nasty little fingerprint on here too, so I got to remove that nasty fingerprint. And I got me some parts that are down here that require, let's put that right there. I'm just detraying the watch right now because I need to put, and I'm doing a tray good job. I need to put these screws back in. I always look at the screws to make sure that they're the same size, because sometimes the plate will have screws that are different sizes, and then you're screwed if you don't when you put it back. So I try to group the parts up. As you recall in one of my other videos, I replaced the I replaced the jewel, and you can see the nice red jewel here closer to my tweezers. That's a brand new jewel, Seats jewel. That's a Seats jewel, which is a very high quality jewel. I didn't replace it with a piece of crap that I found on Etsy. So it's a very high quality jewel. So only the best, only the best. And I take some of these wheels and pivots and pinions and all kinds of names out of there. So very careful with these. They've all been cleaned, as I told you before. I just don't like, I'm reassembling the whole thing right now, and I don't want to have this stuck in here and with the potential of hitting the sides or doing something stupid. So just moving this out of the way. And there's the movement that I'm going to be reassembling. And it's spanky clean right now. I left some of the mechanisms in there, so I'll have to oil those as I reassemble the watch. Again, some of these old watches, I'm really concerned about these metal springs and potentially losing. This one looks, yeah, okay, it's fine. Potentially losing the metal spring breaking, and then not having a replacement spring for that, and trying to hunt for on eBay, and you end up with $50 metal springs. So if the watch is all working well and all intact, you can actually oil these things with that stuff in there still. And that's there's the cannon pinion, don't want to forget that. That's used to fire the cannon. Anyway, that's the cannon pinion. I had some fun with that Swiss watch I was working on with the cannon pinion. It was a pain in the buttinsky. Make sure that I'm zoomed in or not zoomed in. Yeah, it's pretty good. If I could see, I'd know. So there's the winding stem, winding mechanisms. Put those back after. I can't remember whether I took a photo of this stuff or not. And here's the ratchet or whatever that goes over the top of the mainspring. I should have a picture of a watch right next to me at all times. That way I can use the right names. And there's the arbor, the barrel, and the barrel arbor. And I think I've done enough of these not to worry about which way it goes. And there's a hook on the side of the barrel here, on the edge of the barrel, and then there's a gap because this mainspring I had to get was a T spring. So I'm going to move this out of the way because I don't need it here anymore. I bought a couple more of these trays online. They're pretty good because it just keeps the dust off the movement. So if you're doing any watch work at all, you should be putting the watch parts in trays or to prevent the dust from gathering. So here's the new mainspring. I'm curious what this thing looks like. And it's in a package. It's packaged, and it fits in there. So I tried once before taking these mainsprings out and just popping it into the barrel. It doesn't work really well. I'm not sure how you do that. But this is the mainspring. So it's all the way from Cousins, UK, properly sized. See, this is what you got. So that's the mainspring, and it's brand new, and it's got a T on it right here, and the whole mainspring fits inside the barrel here, and it should be the right strength and the right height and the right size. So, and this mainspring should take up, I think it's 1/3 of the volume of the barrel. So when you put that in there, it's 1/3 of the volume of the barrel. And as you can see, let me just do this here. This mainspring is absolutely the size of the barrel. So if I can't even pop it in. It's a little bit bigger in this wrapped configuration than the barrel is. So it's going to be the perfect size. And when I put it in, I want to make sure that the hook and everything is on the correct side. So here you've got a hook on this side and you've got the double T here. So it's got to go in this way, because if I flip it the other way, then it doesn't work, because the hook is on over here, right? The little opening is there to hook on the side, and the T is over there. So it's got to go in this way. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this mainspring out. So stand back and protect your eyes, because this could get dangerous. Dangerous. All right, let me see if I can do this. I got these gloves on, which are a pain in the batinsky, so I'm going to take the glove off I watched the old watchmakers working, and they didn't have gloves on. So I've had comments on. I think when I reassemble the watch, I do put this glove on just to prevent any oils going on the watch. And when I work on the watches, I put a glove on. And there's a gentleman in Florida that said, you know, he learned how to never touch any parts with your fingers, right? So, but I've seen these old watchmakers in factories reassembling watches, and none of them have gloves on. So, and these were vintage pocket watches. So I'm going to reel this thing out nice and easy and walk it out. I still have long fingernails on my thumb here, which actually are pretty handy for all of this stuff. They look pretty bad, but they're handy. I had to trim my guitar nails there the other day. So I had a meeting with somebody, and I didn't want these god-awful nails to be there, but I was able to trim them nicely and still play some Mood for a Day by Yes. So I can play Mood for a Day by Yes, which is a really hard Yes song. There's the mainspring now out, or oot, as they say. There's no real need for me to be cleaning this mainspring, right? There's no real need, because I'm going to wind this in by hand, and then I'm going to put some oil over the top of it, and then it's going to go inside the arbor, and away we go, right? I might have a look at my iPhone just in case there's some crazy. Nah, I don't need to do that. It only goes in one way, so it's got to be this way. If it's the other way, then it's a whole other story. So to put the mainspring back in, I'm going to adjust my camera so it's up a little higher. It focuses a little higher for my hand. So there it is. There's the mainspring. The opening is here, so the hook is here on the barrel, and the opening's over there. So you want this to be this way, right, when you start, and then you start it off by just pushing it in like this. This could be tricky because it got the hook in there. So I'm going to actually let you watch me do this, and it's going to be ugly when it starts. So I don't want to go ugly early. That's what they say. So there we go. And I don't want to break this mainspring because I don't want to order another one and wait 3 weeks, which would be a pain in the butt. So I need to get it past that first edge, which is the hardest part, and then start winding it in like that, like this, and using my exceptional mainspring winding technique that I've learned through years of being pissed off at having to wind mainsprings. I have a lot of vintage windspring winders for doing this job, but your hands are probably the best mainspring winder that you can get, because it's pretty. You got to wind a lot of them. You got to practice a lot to do this, because it's not easy. And when you get to the end here, the whole thing needs to just slide right in nicely. Otherwise, you're screwed, and you got to keep pressure on both sides as you're doing this, because if you relax pressure, this thing will fly right out on you. And once again, you've got another problem. So I'm gonna have to have a glass of water after this, because I'm under extreme pressure trying to do this. So just wind this in like that with my ugly thumbnails exposed. I might cut those down just a bit because they are getting pretty ugly, but I left them like this so I could put them down on the mainspring when I got in. So just put them like this, and then ta-da, there it is. So that's the mainspring wound into position. And if I look on the other side, I can see the notch. I can see the mainspring T sticking out this way, and the hook is lined up perfectly on the edge. And I want to make sure again that I got the right focus on this thing, because then I want to oil it and put the cap back on the barrel. So I'll leave it down like this and refocus it. I apologize for all the refocusing I do, but I'd rather you have a good picture here and not be going nice video, but I can't see a damn thing. So there's the leftover thing. So you saw how fast it took to actually put that mainspring back in the barrel. It's no time at all. It just takes a little bit of practice. So you can go and get like a bunch of old movements, and you can practice winding them in. So I do. I'm not sure if these ones actually need lubrication, but this can't hurt it. Is it take a bit of this Bergeon I can't remember the number of this one here. I should tell you, but the red stuff. Okay, we'll just call it the red stuff. If you want to know the number, just email me and I'll go look at my bottle. But this is 9010 right here, but I can't remember the number of this stuff. 90 something. I never tell myself the numbers of things I'm working on. That's a flaw on my side or something, so not sure. So there we go. I put 4 stripes of this stuff. This one just either absorbed in or I didn't put enough down. And now when that mainspring compresses and goes back and forth, you'll see that it goes into the spring, right? And I didn't bother you don't bother putting any lubricant on the bottom. And this is not an automatic watch mainspring, so you don't need any lubricant for friction. I'm looking at this thing sideways a bit, and I got to make sure that that cover fits on. So I'm going to loop in close here for a second and have a look at that. And I think I'm good. It looks a bit high there, so I may have to pound that a bit. Just a tad. It looks a little tiny bit high. See if I can press that down with my... Let me see what I got to press that down with. And it's just the very start of the thing. Look, it's just a tad high. So I'm going to get myself a stake. Actually, I got this thing from that other tool. Maybe I'll try this. It looks pretty cool. It's a cool tool device. And I'm just going to go down here like this. And then it's right on the edge here where it looks a little high. All I'm doing is pressing down on that. Just a tad. And that's tuck it in a little more, so when I put my mainspring plate back on, it doesn't interfere with it. And that's just some adjustment that you may need to make with that when you put it in. And I'm trying to level it off to the to that. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. This is perfect here. Alright, let's see if I can put the plate back on, but I got to put the arbor in first. The arbor. Now, which side does this go? I'm always mesmerized by not knowing which side the arbor goes in. So probably I want to look this up. So look for the hook on the arbor. The hook is hooking that way. So if it goes in this way, it's wrong. But if it goes in this way, it's gonna hook, so it's right. So I don't have to look anything up. I think that's correct. Let me look that hook up again here. The hook is there. No, actually it hooks on this side. So it would go in this way, like that. So I believe it goes like this. And then with this here, also having nails is handy, because you put it in like this on the edge. And when you turn that hook, when you turn the arbor, it's going to hook on the, it'll hook on the spring. So I kind of put it on the edge like that. But what I need to do is get my little bench block out here, because it should have a hole to go into. So let me grab my bench block here, because that, and I'm going to adjust my camera again. So you pick a center hole like that and put that down, because when that arbor goes down, it's going to want to feed through that hole. It's going to want to do that. And also you can do a screwdriver. I got to put my glasses away carefully, or I'm going to make a mess. These are my nice glasses. I don't want to ruin them within only weeks of having them. So put them out of the way. Right tool for the right job. It's all my army training from years ago. And then you take a screwdriver used for driving screws. It's amazing how they name these things. And I take a white screwdriver, which should work. Make sure that's in the center, and see if I can just put a little, try to line the hook up when I'm doing this so it's not out of line. And I just jam the screwdriver in where the spring is a bit, and it should allow it to feed through. If it doesn't, then you just keep farting with it until the darn thing goes in, right? Anybody that's worked on watches has had fun doing this. Trust me. Alright, take it at an angle, put it on one side, and then drive it in the other side. That's my technique. So take it at an angle, put it in one side, and then drive it down. There we go. So that's in now, but it's not in the hook yet. So I just turn that around like this and grab the back, like so. And then if I turn this, it should find the opening where the hook is. I just have to grab it harder. Okay, I'm going to be a good boy here and grab it with my pin vise so I don't have to work so hard, darn it. So grab that with the pin vise. The arbor with the pin vise. The old arbor with the pin vise. See, now I can turn that. And that is now in the hook. So all I did is put that pin vise on nice and easy. You don't have to grab it too hard. And get a good pin vise that grips on all four corners so you don't have pin vise issues later on. Right? And just take that off like that. Put my pin vise. I got tons of pin vices, by the way. So I was a pin vise collector at one time, I think. So there we go. So that spring is in there now. So that should be pretty good. That should hook nicely. I'll know once I put it in and start the watch and everything. So if it doesn't hook, I just have to reshape that spring later on. And I'm going to put just a touch of oil on this as it goes through. Just a tad of oil. A tad. And once again, use the red stuff. And I just put it on the bottom here. That. And then this will go through the plate and touch that part. So just look at what's touching here. So I believe it's going to touch here. Maybe it's touching here. Actually, I think it's touching there. So you just have to put one little dab will do on you, because it'll spread. Don't put too much oil on anything. If you put too much oil on anything, you're going to have other problems. So now I've got two notches here for this spring. One notch is actually for removing the spring, and that's the little round half moon notch, and the other notch is to allow the gap there to come out, right? Which is there now. And then just grab this thing and see if I can press it down with my fingers to start off with. And I can. You can do it so much with your fingers, and then sometimes you have to use your screwdriver, or sorry, your tweezers to finish the job, so you can hear it pop. And you do that by taking it like that, putting it in your tweezers like so, and press down. Yeah, that's not catching for some reason. I have issues. Do I have issues? Okay, that was it. So that caught and it went pop. I can see it's just a little tiny bit high right there. So I'm going to just push that down just a bit and check the edges, and that looks like it's in perfect. So that's now in there nice and perfect. And I am going to take a little bit of Rodico, my favorite tool, and I'm going to wipe this down a bit to take out any fingerprints and stuff that I might have put on the darn thing while I'm doing my work. So let me just put my glove back on here and Rodico this puppy dog. So Rodico, my favorite little Rodico. Rodico the gears, or the teeth rather, and then I'm Rodicoing the top to take out any fingerprints that it might be left over on there, and just Rodico that in a circle, make sure that's all cleaned up like that. And I put a little bit of oil on that side, but I'm going to put on this side, but I'm going to put a little oil on the other side as well. So that, my friends, is how you replace a mainspring on a pocket watch. So if this was a watch, though, I probably wouldn't be able to do that by hand. I'd need to do that using one of my watch winders, mainspring winders. But this should work nicely. And it looks like it's in there nice. And it's got a little bit of play, which is what you want, because you want it to be able to actually catch that mainspring and turn around. So So there we go. So that's that done. I'll just set this aside on my dollar store mat. Somebody asked me, where'd you get the mat? I was like, where everyone else gets their mats, at the dollar store. Who are you? Why are you asking me questions like that? Alright, there's the Myers movement all the way from Myers. And all these things have been taken apart and adjusted and everything else. I'll check and make sure. I believe I did all these things. It's hard sometimes to remember. Hard to remember the days of September when life was blue and oh so mellow. Hard to remember, and if I remember, just follow. Reassembly. Alright, something I need to do before I assemble this pocket watch is sing a song. Just kidding. Promise not to sing. I give you my word. I should make sure those banking pins are not in the way, but the lower cap jewel for this baby needs to get out. So I'm going to zoom in just a bit here, so just bear with me. Alright, so this is the lower balance jewel. Now, I gotta admit, just before I turn the camera on, I loosened these, so I should have probably not done that. Which you would think is cheating, okay? I think it's just smart. I put tons of pressure on these screws and then turn them. I did not want anything to slip when you're doing this. So it's a tricky. And to take this cap jewel out, I will probably have to punch it out from the other side, because these things are a biatch to take out. They're not easy at all. I don't think this is just going to come off. I'll try, but I don't think so. There's a little needle mark here where it would lift. I'm trying to see if there's any chance I can just lever that up. Maybe. I can see a little bit of movement there, which is hope and faith. I'm going to try it from both sides here. These, I don't have the tool or the needle or whatever to get in there. Yeah, it looks like I can do this one here. I'm just working it out with 2 screwdrivers, and there we go. That is now out, so I can clean that in a second. And then the bottom one, if I'm lucky dog, I can just push that out and then push it back in again. So let's see how lucky I am. To do that, you need to take a pick of tooth, a toothpick or a flattened end of a piece of pegwood. Ta-da! So there we go. So you just push down on it, and then this comes out as well. Just move this out of the way and have a look at these two. So you got to make sure these are clean, because when the pivot goes through there, it has to have a beautiful home to live in. So I'm going to check these under my microscope as well. I believe they're fine, but I'm going to have a quick look at them. So I don't think there's any issue. So I can peg those out and clean them with, let me just clean them quickly with the back end of this. So I just do this and go rub it back and forth like that, which gets rid of any gunk that's on the top. So it's using pegwood, and this is not wood that was made by Peggy Bundy. That'd be Bundy wood. And there's this side here, which you can't peg that, but I can peg out the hole, which would be pretty handy. So, and I sharpened this last time, so I'm going to just put this in here and see if I can peg the hole. And after I've done that, I'm going to put this in the microscope and then have a look at that hole and make sure it's perfectly clean. And if you're lucky today, I'll show you what that looks like in the microscope. It's a lot of work to set that up though, so, but I might do it anyway. So that's the lower jewel, right? And we'll see what looks pretty good at first glance, but who knows? Horton hears a who. Yeah, and getting a new one of these would just be hunting again for the right thingamajobby doohickey. And I'm going to clean this as well with the back end of my piece of pegwood, and it does an amazing job. And what I do is I just look at the light reflection after I've done that, and you can tell with the light reflection whether the cleaning actually worked or not, right? So I just hold that in place like that, and then dab the erotica over the top of that, and do the exact same thing with this jewel, because if you reassemble this watch and the jewels are no good, then it's not going to run very well. So there we go, that's done there on this side, and then just plug that in like that. And now I'm going to have a look at this jewel in my microscope. See, make sure that this is a good jewel. Where's the other jewel? It just disappeared. Oh, there it is. It's on the bottom of the Rodico. You really got to watch that your jewels don't walk away on you. This is the cap here that I had. And flip that around. Notice my hand technique. There it is there, holding it nice and lightly. But I showed you in another video how to do that. So you can just rotate that while maintaining pressure on that. Nice and easy. Finger underneath, pull it around, rotate it, drop it. That's to prove it wasn't stuck there with glue. So that's that there. So let me pause and see if I can look in the microscope. Alright, there's the jewel, the lower jewel under a microscope. Just to prove it's a microscope, I'm going to move my tweezers in here so you can see them. So that's that. So I Rodicoed it, I cleaned it, but I'm still going to throw it into lighter fluid because I can see just a little tiny bit of dirt residue in the hole of the jewel, and it's so small I couldn't peg it out with my pegwood. I couldn't use my pegwood to peg that out, so because it's just so small. So I'm going to toss that into lighter fluid and see if I can get rid of that. So if the pivot on the bottom of the balance staff probably would remove that. But anyway, I'm going to toss the jewel and the cap onto into the. Let me look on the other side of the microscope here, centered. Yeah. So I'm going to grab the cap jewel and have a look at that right now. Now that I've got that, there's the cap jewel. That looks pretty good. There seems to be a little bit of stuff on the edge there. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like a few particles on the edge, but that's nothing to be concerned over. And as you can see, the surface of the cap jewel is absolutely clean. Look at that. That is nice. That's the side that touches the actual pivot of the balance staff. So all you need to do is throw this other one into, just get it in here, there we go. Throw this one here into its, oh, don't let anything fly. Don't let it fly. You're going to have other problems, ladies and germs. Yeah, I just need to throw that into lighter fluid and it'll be fine. There's the top of it. It's not too bad, the lighting's not too good, but there's the top of it. And then trying to look at this and do the jewel manipulation at the same time. Impossible to dream the impossible dream. There's the side that will meet up with the balance staff right there. That's it right there. So it's pretty good. The jewel's in pretty good condition, I'd say. But there's a little tiny bit of brown dirt in there, so I'm going to throw that into lighter fluid and go get a drink of water. So there is the cap. Yeah, it's the lighter fluid, and you can see it on the upper camera there. I'm just going to put a little bit of lighter fluid in there. You don't need too much, because I got to toss it out anyway later. So it's rosin all lighter fluid. What wonderful stuff. If I ever needed to light something up, this is the stuff I would use. So there it is there. And I don't have my glasses on, but I'm just going to toss these babies in. Toss them in and let them soak. So they should be fine because they're burnished in, so there's no issue there. So there they are, the two jewels sitting there. I'll let them sit for a while. Later on I'll just take a brush and poke at them, and then they should be cleaned up nicely. Drink of water time. And I'm going to poke these around. I had a drink of water, by the way, in case you're curious. I'm going to poke these around just a bit with a brush. Don't need to do this a lot, but the hairs of the brush. I'm going to pass out because I got my zipper in my... The vest is too tight. Gonna drop. So I gotta go to the post office today, so we just poke this around a bit and see what happens. Gotta poke it so much it gets stuck in the brush itself. And the one I'm concerned with is the one where the pivot goes through the jewel. So I'm not really concerned with the other one, because the other one was really nice, but it's gonna be even really nicer. There you go. There you go. No matter where you are, there you go. That should do. Just tap this just a bit and throw that back. Anyway, try not to keep any of this lighter fluid stuff near anything that could be a fire. I just happen to have some handy dandy watch paper right here. I grab a nice piece here and throw these jewels on top of the watch paper. And then I'm just going to turn these around a few times and let them dry. There we go. Let that dry for a while. For a few whiles. And so what I normally do is I just move them around to different places in the watch paper, and they dry a lot faster. Move this liquid death out of the way so it doesn't kill me. Still have to go to the post office though. Yeah, these are looking nice. These are looking really nice. They're looking nice. And then the last step I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little blower out. And again, you don't want to blow these things so they go flying. So I think I'm just going to hold this one rodico as I blow down on it like this. This is the blower here. You can see it in the upper camera. So I'll just blow on this to see if I can get rid of any leftover lighter fluid. This doesn't take long to evaporate. It's very small and it'll evaporate quite quickly. And the other one I'm not going to worry about right now. So I'm just going to take that off. So that's perfect. And I'm going to put that on. I had a card earlier that I used under the microscope, so I'm going to just throw these back on here like that, and I'm just going to go over to the microscope. I'll tell you, this lighting is crappy because it looks a heck of a lot better when you look through the other lens on this microscope. This thing looks perfect. I may try to just adjust the lens, but I'm trying to take some flakes off of it. It looks like there's some little tiny leftover flakes. That's probably the crap I removed from the hole. That hole looks pretty good now. There we go. That's pretty darn good. It's the hole of all holes. So I'm going to back it up a bit here, so see if I can show you this. Just hang on a second while I center this hole. Is that centered? No, I've got to go this way, this way, this way. You can see fine scratches on the jewel, which is kind of cool. But fine jewel scratches. There, I think that's where it's probably best, but it's hard because the lighting is kind of crappy. So if I had it like really bright, it might work, but it keeps adjusting. So that's it there. So the dirt, when I look through there, it doesn't look like it too much, but this is a super close-up. So, but the dirt on that hole is now gone, which is very nice. Very, very nice. And these old jewels, they're not absolutely perfect, but there's no scratches or marks on it. So it looks a heck of a lot nicer when I look through the lens myself. So you have to trust me there. I might be able to adjust the lighting here. Alright, there's the lighting adjusted. So that's super duper duper close. So anyway, that's really nice. It's did the job. And let me look at this jewel here. This is the cap jewel. Looks like there's a little piece of something on the top there that I can remove. So I'm just going to move that over and dab that a few times. That's the dirt that came out of the hole of the jewel. That's what that is. And move that over here. That's the upper side, so it doesn't count. Did you just flip on me? No, that's still the upper side. So the bottom side that actually the pivot makes contact. That's the upper side there. Yeah. What am I doing? Yeah, that's the upper side. Yeah. There's the bottom side where the pivot makes contact. Did I grab the wrong jewel again? Oh, there it is there. That is really nice. It's funny when you look at this directly within the microscope, it looks a heck of a lot better than when you look at it with this camera, because you don't see all of the it's brighter, much brighter. Anyway, that's it there, so it's good to go. And that's the 2 jewels cleaned in lighter fluid. Alright, now I've got to put these jewels back in the movement. I could probably make a video on just doing this. I think I did that once. So make sure I have the right jewel for the right job here. So I'll put that down here. And there is my lower cap jewel. That's it right there. And that goes in, I believe, just like that. So spun around the wrong way. Spun around the wrong way. I'm using my left hand here with a screwdriver. I don't know what it is. I'm right-handed, or I'm left-handed, but I have to use my other hand with a screwdriver. So there, that's now down there, and I just take a piece of pegwood and just push down on it lightly, like so. So that's in place. And then you want to put a little oil on there first before you close it down. So, and make sure you always take, there we go, and clean off the end of your oiler. So that's a fact. And then when you're oiling these things, put this down here, you actually oil the cap. And I'm going to have to spin this around, so I want to make sure I've got it in the right position when I spin it around. So where is the edge? So the edges are here, and there's the notch. There's a little tiny notch on the left hand side that I have to line up. So turn it around that way, like that. And of course, if I screw this up, I just do it again. So you want to put just a tiny bit of oil on there. I just use 2 hands, one to steady the other hand. Just like that. Get the oil way out of the way. Otherwise it ends up becoming part of everything else. Always put your tools back. Now I'm going to grab this and spin it around. Now, very successful at spinning earlier, so it should be just as successful. And then just move the movement around. So that it's aligned. And you can use a screwdriver just to nudge it. There's a lot of nudging required in watchwork. I spend all my days nudging. I don't nudge at work, but I nudge when I'm doing this stuff. You just nudge it over. Looks like it's in there pretty solid, but that's not where I want it. So I have to re-nudge it, I think. There we go. So that flattened a bit. And I just take the edge of the jewel here. And I should just be able to nudge it like that. There we go. So there's a little circle. So you're taking the circle, draw the picture for you. So the jewel, I'm going to screw up another piece of paper, but the jewel looks like, so the jewel's sitting there. That's the hole right there. And then there's a little tiny mark on the edge, and that's the mark where the pin goes in to lift it up, but I find putting 2 screwdrivers on either side is better. And then there's a cutaway here, right on the top, and another cutaway right here. So this is the jewel. So there's the jewel hole going around like this, and it's tight. So I'm not representing it properly, but it's tight. So that's tight. So I take my screwdriver, once I put this down, there's also material missing from this side, like that. And that's where the screw goes down, and it pushes down on the cap. So what I do is I take my screwdriver, once I put that in, and I just take my blade, and I put it on the edge of this semicircle, and I push in this direction, a little tiny bit, and then I flip it around and do it on this side, and I push in this direction with the screwdriver. And I'm just able to just nudge it just a bit so that the mark here on the jewel setting and the mark here on the plate are marked up, are perfect, and these are creating semicircles or circles here, so the screws will line up properly. So that's what I'm doing when I do that. I just nudge it right there and then nudge it on the other side, because it's very difficult to put the cap jewel in exactly in where it was before without adjusting it like that. So that's what you do. Not hard at all. So now I've got the cap jewel is in place, and I just have to grab the screwdriver out of the way, grab a couple of screws here, and these screws go in. I think I had it like this before. I like to put the screws back exactly where they were, and the reason for that is that if they're threaded for any reason, the screw is threaded differently. To hold my breath here. If for any reason the screw had a different threading on it, like the watchmaker had to put a different screw in there or something, and the threading was just not absolutely the same one, then I don't have to worry about it causing the threads to be damaged as they go down. So I'm just putting this screw in. So you back it up just a bit till the threads catch, and then you can go forward with the screw. There we go. So that is done. So that takes quite a while to actually do that job, and that's a perfect jewel in there. So pretty good jewel for its age. So that's, I'm gonna end here now. I'll be back in 2 seconds. You'll see me back in 2 seconds, although for me it'll be about an hour. So, but I'm gonna just go and let me put this in the Myers movement holder, and I got to throw some paper or something over this so I don't want dust to gather. But I'll be reassembling this puppy dog, so I just want to make sure it's nicely secured, like so. And I'll have to put a different angle on this for reassembly, so the screwdrivers aren't on the top when you're watching it. And then like that sort of thing, and then like this sort of thing. Yeah, try to make it as clear as possible. And I've got to go to the post office, so to send back a pair of running shoes that were no damn good. So there you go. There you go. That's it. So that's the jewel I had in the microscope, but I'll be back in 1 millisecond. Alright, there's everything nicely set up for me to go get a bite to eat and go to the post office. So I've covered all the parts, and I've got a cover on the movement here, and I probably need to cover this too. Let me just grab something here. I'll cover that as well. That's the lighter fluid. I'm not too worried about that, so I'm probably going to use that for the jewel, the upper jewel, and the balance when I go look at that. All right, pow! I'm back. It was like 2 milliseconds. Amazing. And I remember, I'm trying to remember things these days, but I remember I'm 99.9% sure I disassembled this balance, because I remember taking the screw out and poking that down, and I washed this in the Dunkometer as a test a while ago, right? So as I was testing the Dunkometer, I'll look it up in the Dunkometer video though, but I'm 99.9% sure that this has been cleaned with the jewel as well. I'm absolutely positive. But anyway, I'm going to build the watch up, and I'll have a look at my previous videos just to make sure I did that, because I had a lot of time. I had like 3 weeks. I remember using this balance as my test balance for the Dunkometer. So, as long as it's not called a dunkometer. But anyway, so I put a nice cap on that so I wouldn't get any crap on the cap. Babadabadap. Remove these watch papers here. I was thinking, geez, did I do that balance or not? That's the problem. Is I did as much as I could before everything shut down. Anyway, I think I got an echo going on because I got my my other thing on. I'm going to turn this light on so I can get a little bit more light. I got a top light here. It's pretty cool. That actually provides better lighting for me and for you. There you go. Me and you. You and I. You and me. Now, I got a Bugs Bunny my glove again. Bend over, pick it up, make it inside out, and then lean forward and Bugs Bunny the glove. Every time I take this glove off, it goes inside out. What's the deal with gloves? What's the deal with gloves? What's the deal with gloves? Anyway, we're good. We're good. All right. So let's see if I can reassemble this thing. Who knows? Who knows? I may have to go get my. I may have to go get my camera to see exactly how this thing was put together again. Together again. Doo-doo. Because I want to make sure I put it together the proper way. So I always take a picture of the stem because it's hard to remember which way this goes. Although it should ride. Let me look here. Yeah. So this end of it here should ride like onto this, like that. Correct? Correct. Which means I don't think this goes in here. I gotta go look at my camera for a second. I hate when I forget things. Found it. So now I know this thing goes. Let's see. I gotta grab this here. So it is difficult to remember. So it's like this, like this. I need an extra hand. Like this, like that, and then the whole darn thing goes like this inside of there. So I just pick that up and then put that in, and I'm good to go, man. Glove or no glove. Come on, get in there. So that's the way it goes, and I had other pictures here that are showing some other stuff too. I think I got to unbrighten one of my things here, so just hang on. One of my cameras is too bright. I need to unbrighten it. I think I got to look at this from the bottom, but before doing that, I think I can put this plate on here. And that way at least I've got this on and it's not going to cause any problems. Correct? Correct. And there's the three things here for this plate. And I'll just throw this on, and like I've said to you guys a million times, you put this on and then you figure out the screws. Just throw it on like that, and it'd be nice if things just went boom and it's on, right? Perfect. no problem. Done. Alright, so that was nice. So I'm going to just do that, and then you take these 2 screws here, and I put them on, but I don't tighten them. Do not tighten those screws until you're absolutely sure that that screw is in the right place. Or sorry, until you're sure the plate is on right. Do not tighten the screws. You hear what I'm saying? Do not tighten the screws. In fact, this one doesn't even want to go on. Let me try this one here. Could be the angle of the bangle and the mangle. This one goes in, and I'll just tighten this down just a bit. And then I just want to pick this up. So I got to pick it up, and I can't show you this because I got to pick it up and I got to tweak it with the with this thing here to get the pivots to fall through the holes. So I got to stop it so I can do this. Holy crapoly! That was 15 minutes of pivot farting with, and just to get it in. And when I finally I grabbed the pinion of this, of the escapement, to get it in, and then and then it was too tight, and I realized that the bottom pinion moved. I'm like, all right, stop it. So there was way too much farting around going on. I'll put my glasses on again. So this can be a long video, but I want to make sure that everything is nice. So I just basically take and just move that just a bit, and everything seems to be in there nicely. So there doesn't seem to be any problems at all. So I can tighten this down a bit. It's tight there, and that's tight there. So very dangerous. Especially you could put, very easy to snap a pivot off. So and that's really nice. It's moving nicely, and this is the new jewel here, and the depth looks perfect. So there's no issue there with the depth. None that I know of yet, anyway. So I think we're good there. And I just have to figure out how to move this back. So I may have to take the mainspring out here to move that back. I'm not worried about the center wheel going anywhere because it's being captured by the plate there, so there's no issue. So that's what she looks like there, and this should go back without a problem, right? Because it needs to go back into place. I'm going to use my fingernail here. Let me see how this works. Use my tweezers and just push that and see what happens. I'm going to keep my finger away from the second hand, because then that is a disaster. So that is not moving at all. So there's something in here that I got to move to make that flick over. So perhaps it's this, and then I move that like this, and that like this, and this moves over like that. Look at that, eh? Jeez, Ricky. So that's how you move it over. Quite a complex little mechanism, though. Guts to admit. Quite complex. Alright, so where's my seconds hand there again? There it is there. So anyway, keep that out of trouble. Keep it out of trouble. There we go. Back into the Myers movement holder, the world's best movement holder. And this should be in place now, hopefully. And so I can just grab this like this and drop it in. Like that. And I've got to get around this side here to push that a bit. Like that. There we go. And that is almost in place down there. Tweaking. I think that's what Elmer Fudd or whatever did, and it tweaked. See, that just dropped in there, so that's good there. And then throw the mainspring back in. Mainspring barrel. I'm going to move up a bit here so you guys can see what I'm up to. Throw the mainspring barrel back in. Hopefully that's still recording. It's going to be a long one, I think. She's going to be a long one. There we go. And now the plate. I think I got everything in place there. I did put some oil in here, and I wanted to make sure that that was well lubricated. I think I'll use my D5 here. Right in there. Like that. And that goes like that. And I'm just hoping that when I put all this stuff in, it just works extremely well. I'm going to D5 this one too. I know I put other oil on that before, but I believe I D5 this one already. But you can have too much D5. You can't say you can never have too much D5, because you can have too much D5. So don't over D5 the watch movement, because it'll cause you issues. Tons and tons of issues. And you don't want issues. Let's see if I can just drop this on top. Oh! Bad tweezer movement. Just make sure everything is good still. That's where it needs to be. That is got to be in place here. It's on the inside. Like that, so it did move. Alright, I'm putting it in with my hands. Too bad, so sad. Just need to go over the center wheel and straight down like that. Like so. Not sure if that's in place nicely or not. Feels like it's in place, but I need a bench key. Can't live without a bench key, by the way. You need your bench keys. And I just want to move this around and see what it feels like on the other side. So it's rocking a bit, so something's not in place. And this is the center wheel was in place. There we go. And now it's not rocking anymore. Woohoo! So let's put some of these screws back. They're all the same size, so I think we're good still. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets. 5 sets. 8, 9, 10. And I don't even speak. I do not speak Italian. I just like my wife's Italian, and she speaks Italian. And I know that when you say "e Laura," it doesn't mean "and someone named Laura." It means "and so." And I know in Italian, if you say "prego," it doesn't mean you're pregnant. It means "thank you, please, thank you, get out of my way, sorry," everything else. Depends on how you say it. So if you say "prego" like that, that means thank you. Like "prego," that's thank you. But "prego," that's get out of my way. I got groceries in my hand. And that happened to me in Milano years ago, when I was there in business. And I was in a grocery store, and some lady was like, "Prego," like, get the heck out of my way, you Canadasia non-doer. So I learned quite quickly what prego meant, and you could say prego with anything, right? So I'm just putting a little bit of lube on the gears here, just a bit, and this will transfer from gear to gear to gear. Like that. And while I'm here, I'm going to put some of this on the top here, like that, and lubricate it, not too much, like that. And on this side here, I'm going to put a bit on the inside here, like that. That'll help that move around. And I need to tighten these screws, and I want to make sure that I don't have any issues, if you know what I'm saying. If you know what I mean. Now what I didn't do here is run the train, so I didn't, but I can put a little pressure on the mainspring once I get this thing completely onboarded, and make sure that everything is loose here. Yep, so we're good. Always check the plate on the side too, just to make sure it's flush, down flush, before you tighten the screws. Because again, you could be up just a bit and not know it. And so you want to be completely flush and not have to worry about stuff like that there. I think you tighten this just a bit here, because things are going to fly away. Come fly away with me. And I'm going to put just a tiny bit of lube in there too, right on the edge of this. Just on the edge of this right here. Not sure if you can see that or not, but just a little tiny bit. A tiny bit, which is tinier than a tiny bit. I love this mat, by the way, because it's such a cool mat. Well, that just goes down like this, and then this goes on the inside. Got to turn that around somehow. Maybe you turn it around like that, and this just falls down here. It should anyway, with any luck. There we go. And then this is the big freaking screw that's for this, that I can put in, and it's probably reverse threaded. So these screws here are normally reverse threaded. It's going to be the world's longest video. I've got an appointment at 2 o'clock with a friend of mine, so I want to make sure I don't miss that appointment. See what you made me do? You made me. Anyway, these are reverse threaded. There are watches out there that where it indicated on the screw that it's reverse threaded. For some reason, these watches don't indicate it. So I'm going to use a piece of pegwood here to just hold the screw down while I get it threaded in. There we go. And I'm not going to tighten that all the way yet, like I said before, because there could be a tooth there that's not quite in the right position. Excuse me for the cough. And this should just go in here like this, and I got to move the spring, the click spring, out of the way to get that down flush. And there's a little hook here that I can just use to do that. I believe. Why don't you be true? And then I just turn this, take the screw here and put that down. I wonder how many watchmakers actually make a video and say everything they're doing. Because I'm telling you, like, I got a lot of videos online, and you people out there better appreciate it. And you better tell your friends that there's this dude who makes videos. I'm winding it up right now just a bit. So I'm going to turn this the opposite direction to tighten it. But I'm not going to kill it, tighten it too much. And I'm going to tighten this as well. And you don't have to over tighten them and kill them, because if you do that, you're going to screw it up. And I just want to make sure that the mainspring doesn't slip on me. If it does, all this stuff has got to come apart again. So far, so good. Now the test. The test here is the touch test. So I'm going to zoom in and show you what I'm doing. So I put a little bit of power on the mainspring. Right. I'm zooming in right now. I'm zooming in live. I don't even have my glasses on, so I don't know if that's focused or not. I think that's pretty focused there. So let me just move the watch in the right way. Up, down, down, up, down, up, up, down. And I'll refocus again. If you're going to have high definition, you might as well be focused. Now if this thing ticks, I got to move this over so I can get my hands in there. There we go. So you see the pallet fork right there, right? Say yes. So all you do is touch the pallet fork, and if it ticks over like that, you see how it just snaps over? That means there's power going to the there's power going to the all through all of the wheels and over to the pallet fork from the escapement. So that's good news. Now I got to put a little bit of this lubrication on the stones. So this stuff is, it's Mobius 9415, and it's used to lubricate the pallet fork stones, but I tend to put it onto the feet of the escapement, because it's actually better to transfer it that way than to actually put it on the stones. So, and there's plenty of advice online. I might hit the camera with my head here. I think I need to move this out of the way a bit so I can do this job, because I have to see the teeth of the escapement to do this properly. Because if I don't, then it ain't done properly. No, you know what? I can't see the teeth. I gotta get this thing out of the way. I gotta get this thing in the air to do this properly, because you guys watching doesn't help me. There we go. That's one tooth, and then another tooth, and then another tooth. So I'm kind of walking it around here. That's too much. You don't want to put too much of this stuff on, because your watch will get all gummed up. Just a bit. And you want to walk it through the teeth. It's very hard to see, but I got that one, that one, that one. I want to go deep in here, but I'm gonna go to camera for a second. I apologize, because I want to go touch the tooth down there. All right, I think we're good there. The other thing you can do is you can try to do this before you put the watch together, but I find that when you do that, you end up spreading this special oil or gel to other areas of the watch that you didn't want it to be at. So that's why I do it when the watch is all intact. So there. I'm going to see if this. I'm going to throw the movement in a second and see if this actually works. So I'm going to oil one more of these on top. So I did this one. I'm doing this one. I'm doing this one. With the red stuff, and I'm switching over to 9010. I'm getting it nice and close here, so I get a good oil job here. And not too much, like I said before. You just need enough. Just barely fill the oil pot. And the escapement also has, or the pallet fork also has an oil pot. And I already oiled the bottom jewel, remember? I put the oil down through the bottom jewel, so I don't need to oil that again. And let me flip this watch around now. It's starting to become in good shape, as they say, right? So I don't need to tighten this up much, but I want to get the oil out, and I know I got to put some gears on here and stuff, but let me just drop some oil there. So I did the one that was capped already, so I just need to do this one. And this one. This one. Now I want to do inside the second hand, but I don't want to touch the second hand because it'll cause me issues trying to get that second hand back on, or later on. So it'll slide down the second hand. So you want to put your oiler in fast. You want to put your oiler in and then pull it out fast. Because if you pull it out fast, not a lot of oil stays on that oiler. So, and then you want to go right down in there, so like that. Like that, and then after I do that there, I just grab some Rodico because I've done that, but I want to make sure that that second hand is completely dry. So I grab some Rodico. Some of that oil will have dropped through. And I got one more to do over here. One more right here. And if you put too much oil in there, like I just did, you need some Rodico to pick the oil up. Because when you put the oil in the oil pot, in the hole, the oil will go down through around the pivot, and then you can pick up any residual oil with your with Rodico. It's the world's best stuff. So time to switch glasses again. Schwitchen the glasses. Because right now I'm going to just do a little bit of a test. I may take this balance apart anyway, just in case I forgot to do it, but I'm going to do it later because I got a meeting at exactly 2 o'clock. So I'll test this to see if it works, and then I'll do it. So, but I'm pretty darn sure I clean this thing. But let's just see. You can probably tell from the amplitude. So again, with the palette fork, I'm going to move everything back up a bit, just so we get a better view of the world here. And then there we go. And I've tried to stop and start videos so I don't have a problem where I've lost complete control of the video. Alright, so here's the balance. So I've got the palette fork here, the open mouth of the palette fork is facing this way, to the end this way here. And so when the jewel here, the impulse jewel, needs to enter that palette fork from that side, or else it'll hit the outside of the fork, and then it won't work. So you grab the balance and hold the balance in place while you move the movement around. And I'm just going to see if this works for me. Slide this in like that, like so, and then I'm going to move this in place, nice and easy. And I want to prevent any chance of this balance falling right onto the ground. So I'm just moving this in place here and seeing if I can get the balance in place. So there it is. So it's ticking right now a little bit. So I'm going to put the screw in place here, and I'm not going to tighten it down. Like I said before, you don't tighten it down. I'm going to use a piece of pegwood just to hold this in place a bit, and I'm just going to move it down so the balance doesn't fly off. So there it is, ticking away. So it's ticking kind of like it was ticking before. So I think this thing needs some cleaning. Yeah, but it's ticking, which is nice. So that's a start. But when it only ticks a bit like that, I want it to be ticking a lot. And it's stopping as well, so I'll have to check that out as well. But for now, I know there's power going through here, which is nice. I don't like the fact it stops every 5 seconds, but I'll deal with that in a second. So that's the assembly. I'm getting power to it, but again, I think I basically stupid, and I can't remember whether I took this balance apart, but it needs to be. I need to do that, I think, because it's getting jammed a bit somehow, and we'll work on that. Alright, I got 15 minutes before my meeting, so I think I'll strip this thing down, because I don't think it's been cleaned. I think I'm wrong. And if it was, it didn't help with the amplitude. So I'm going to just take this apart. Just drop the hairspring in the balance here. First loosen the screw for the stud, And then I should just be able to push the stud through the center here, and the whole darn thing should fall through. Where's my tweezers? Which it did. And I grab this here like that, and I will strip that down. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm going to have a look at that spring really close to make sure there's not sticking together whatsoever, right? And I'll look at the upper pivot and I'll look at the lower pivot to make sure that they're good. And I'm going to be tossing these. I'm going to toss these in lighter fluid and let it dry. So I can do that right now, I guess. Let me think. I want to do that right now? Sure. What the heck? I can use my little jar here, or I can use other things. So what do I want to do here? I'm just trying to figure out whether I want to remove that hairspring or not. So I think I'll just leave it all intact and throw it in and wash it all in one shot. So I know that the lighter fluid will not impact the shellac for the impulse jewel. For years I thought it would, but it doesn't. So there. I want to make sure I have a little tiny bit of that material on the bottom that I really like. Let me see if I can just cut a piece off and put it down below. I want to make sure I've got that on the bottom so the pivot doesn't hit the metal on the bottom. I'm anal retentive, as they say. So I got this like that, and if I just cut it like this, and then like this, that should fit right in the bottom of this thing, you think? I gotta trim the edges, I think. You watch me while I do it. 1, 2, oop, one jumped in there. 3, 4. That's good. And I know this will probably absorb a little bit of lighter fluid, but I don't want the balance when it's in here, the pivots to touch the bottom there. So I just put it in like that, as you can see, and then pour the lighter fluid in right to the top, baby, right to the top. And I'm just going to let that soak for a few minutes, and hopefully it doesn't loosen that jewel. I've done a lot of these and none of the jewels are loosened, so I talked to some guys online like Old Hippie and some other guys, and they've never had an issue with this lighter fluid loosening up shellac. So all's good in love and warfare. I didn't use the dunker tank on this time. I could have used a dunker tank, I guess. Just didn't think about it. But I do need to take this jewel out, though, and have a look at it. And I've got my meeting is in 7-10 minutes. So I need to have my block. Where's my block, folks? I'm looking for my block. Looking, can't find. Put this away. Too much crap on my desk right now. Where's my block? Where's my block? Here, block. Where the heck did I put that block? It's not here, it's not there. It's the size of Montreal. I can't find it anywhere. Where? Oh, there it is. There's the block. And the reason you use the block when you're doing this is that you want to find a hole, because you've got the regulation pins there, the regulator pins. And you don't want those regulator pins to get in the way. So when I unscrew this on one side, I want to lay it flat like that. I want to pick the right size screwdriver and just unscrew this like this. And I'll pretend I know the direction of this, okay? So I'm putting these screws way over here, way out of the way. I don't want to go hunting for screws later on. Use the right screwdriver. I've done this before where I'm able to rotate this around, right? So I need to lift this up. because once these screws are out, this whole thing falls apart into a million pieces. But you don't want to undo the screws without that regulator pin being out of the way. So I'll take my chances here in reassembly. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but it's the right way to do it. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. It's really easy to do stuff the wrong way, by the way, when you're doing watch work. It's a little harder to do it the right way. There we go. Get that out of the way. I want to just shift that out of the way because that's good there, actually. And I should be able to just push this through. What do you think? What are my chances of doing that? Where's my pegwood? Who's got my pegwood peg? Here it is. That's my hairy arm. So I should just be able to push that out, right? And then I can look at that under the microscope. Is that coming out? Do I need to loosen it from both sides again like I did before? Hopefully not. I've got my meeting in a few minutes. I'm going to be holding this in my hand while I do this, so I apologize ahead of time. You know what? I can just push this through the bottom. But I want to make sure there's a tiny little mark on this to make sure I put it back on the right side. There we go. The mark is done. Now this should just push through. It's pretty tight though. I think it's pretty tight. So let me try this again here. Just use a smaller hole here. There we go. So that just pushes right through, and on the bottom I've got the 2 jewels, and I'll be able to have a really close look at that under the microscope again to make sure that there's no issues with that. There's a jewel there, and I can take a quick look before my meeting here with my non-microscope to see what I'm looking at here, see what they look like. Oh, you know what? It's pretty friggin' clean. So that is pretty clean. But just because I'm anal retentive, what I'm going to do is throw it in with the lighter fluid, baby. Let me look at what I got going here. I'm going to switch this around a bit. Grab the spring and lift it up while I'm doing that. Gotta watch the camera while I'm doing it. I don't want to watch the camera. This will clean it up nicely. Alright, there we go. That's that. And I'm going to puff this a bit on the bottom. I just want to puff it to get any residual lighter fluid off of it. Well, like I said before, this should not affect the watch, and I will demagnetize it as well, because it might be magnetic, and I can test it quite quickly to see if it's magnetic or not. So I'm just puffing it here with this puffer and holding it. So sorry I went out of camera there for a second, but just puffing it like that, and then from the top a bit, just to dry it off. And I'm going to examine the pivots, clean the pivots, and demagnetize it after. So there. So for now though, I'm going to rest it on a piece of erotico so it's nicely protected, like that. Just put that down on a piece of erotico, and I'm going to throw these jewels in for a swim. You didn't know they could swim, did you? There's the jewels in there. They're going to go for a little swim. They can stay in there for an hour as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing going to happen. So I'll move all that out of the way and get ready for my meeting. I'll be back in a millisecond. To you, it's a millisecond. To me, it's like 45 minutes to an hour. So let me move that out of the way. And it's just not a work meeting. This is a meeting with a friend of mine that I haven't seen in a long time. His name is Mike. So I'm going to meet with Mike. So it's not really a meeting, I guess. It's just I could have a glass of wine in my hand because today's my day off. So there you go. That's the leftover lighter fluid from before. There's nothing I can throw in there, is there? Might as well just toss stuff in the lighter fluid. All right, clean up my desk, and I'll be right back. Alrighty then, for you it was like 1 millisecond. For me it was an hour. So I'm back for my adventure, visiting one of my kids. Kids meaning 33. How's that for a kid? And having a chat about stuff. So this has been soaking in lighter fluid for about an hour and a half, I think. Actually, it was more than that because I stopped at 2 o'clock. 2 on the clock. So I got to dry these out, have a look at them, and see how clean they are. I'll bet you they're pretty clean. I may just have to tap them with Rodico, and that's it. The old Rodico. There's a jewel there. And this jewel's in pretty darn good condition. Yeah, the hole's even round. What do you know, eh? A round hole. Pretty nice jewel, actually. Yeah. Anyway, we'll work on that. How come my camera's way over there? What am I doing? So I'll just have one little look at this under the microscope just to make sure there's no issues. I don't think there is. It looks good. All right, there's the upper jewel, and man, it looks good. Looks almost perfect. You just adjust it here. So I got a hair on it, and got to make sure it's in the right position here. And just tap some Rodico on the inside of that to get rid of any inconsistencies in it, and on the outside as well. Jewels, that setting's been in that watch for a lot of years. That is perfect, absolutely perfect. You can't see it. It's a shame that when you look through the microscope, it's a lot brighter. And I guess I've got a decent camera. It's not the best, but it's decent. But the jewel's in perfect condition. No issue here at all. I'm just tapping it with the Rodico to get rid of any dust or anything else that might be in there. So that's nice. It's a good jewel, nice and clean, no problems at all. I'll hold that over my hand when I move it back to the paper here because I don't want to drop it on the carpet. I haven't had to go hunt for stuff in the carpet for quite a while. So there's the cap jewel, and I'll tap the cap, get it? I'll tap the cap with Rodico as well. And I'll flip this one over because this one, got to make sure the other side is like a mirror because that's where the pivot will hit, right? So right now you can see it looks a little bit muddy. So I just take that and then scrape it with the Rodico, and it's moving in. It's a little tricky work to do, but and then of course if you look at my work under the microscope, it's annoying. I think it's too close, and it's just way too close in there. So it's not the best. I think it's a 5 megapixel camera as well. So it's not the best camera in the world, but it's not too bad. So there it is there. So I need to scrape that a bit with the Rodico, and that will clean the gunk off the top without a problem. Yeah. Just keep working on it. Anyway, you don't have to watch the rest of this. But it looks pretty dark from there, but it's not that dark in person. And there's another shot of the jewel. That's the cap jewel. So I brightened it up a bit, but this is in nice condition here. So it's a perfectly glassed cap jewel. Hard to actually see on camera, but it's really nice. I could get it to shine a bit like that. There you go. A little bit of a shine there. So I've got to oil that up, and we're ready to rock and roll. And then put that back together again. And if you look in the bottom of the screen here, you'll see the pivot of the balance staff. And as I go down and refocus here, you'll see that as I ride down here, there's the balance staff, there's the collet, and there's the hairspring. But the pivot on the end looks perfect. So that's a nice looking pivot, as pivots go. But like I said before, you got to tap that with some Rodico on the end, and then maybe use some pithwood as well. But tap it with Rodico as a minimum. And the spring looks like it's really well formed. There's no problem with the spring at all. If I just turn that around now, have a look at the other side, and everything looks hunky-dory here as well. So the pivot looks perfect on the other end too. Let's see if I can focus that pivot, put that in the middle somehow. But just move this around. Hope you're not getting dizzy. There's the pivot there. Pivot, stop moving. You know, when I look at it with the camera, it's a lot easier. Right now I'm looking at the screen, so there we go. So there's the pivot. Lighting is a bit maybe too high. And just, there it is there, and maybe try to get a side view of the pivot. I wonder if that's possible at all. I'll have to hold it while I'm adjusting this and everything else. There you go. There's the pivot there. So that's in perfect condition. That's a very nice looking pivot. So there should be really no reason why this watch doesn't chuck along nicely. So that's that. So that's those two things. So let's put this thing back together again. All right, the next but not last job is to actually put these jewels back into the balance cock here. And I got one jewel here, and you got to make sure they're in the right way, or else you're going to have all kinds of problems. So put that jewel in like that, and I got to push that in because it's just going to sit there otherwise. And there's the cap for it. So let me move that out of the way, because I know if I put this on the watch paper, I'm going to have all kinds of other problems. So I need to have find my pegwood. There it is there, and push that in. So there it is there. It looks like it's in pretty good condition. It's the correct direction. Make sure that the and once you push it in, you look on the other side and then make sure it's seated nicely. And this isn't seated yet. It's just sort of sitting there. So I need to push that a little further. Push it a little harder. Try not to break anything, because that can happen. And if I don't get it right this time, I got to pull it out and do it again. So that's in tight. You look at all the edges. Look at all the edges and make sure it's absolutely tight in there, right? And if you recall, I had a mark on the top of this thing, which was a forward mark, right? So I could remember which direction this thing went in. And so the cap goes in like that. But before I put the cap in, I got to put a little bit of oil on it. So let me get my little bit of oiler, and oil this up. This is a long video, man. It's going to take forever to process. But it's comprehensive is what you want. Comprehensive is what you're going to get. A little bit of oil in the cap. Put my oil away. I want to put this cap in the right position here, not drop it, because I'll have to do it twice, which would be a pain in the Batinsky. I remember what I was saying earlier. When I put the cap in like that, I got to nudge it. So, nudging time. That's almost perfect there. Almost perfect. That's watch talk for perfect. You look at that. Yeah, that's pretty good there. So we push that home. Make sure the edges are flush. And that's just great right there. Let me check that edge. Yeah, that's perfect. And as you can recall, I put the screws way the heck over here because I didn't want to lose them. I don't want it to become an issue. So I can put these screws back in the watch. I believe I use the black screwdriver. And all these, I'm going to hit my head on this in a second, but all these screwdrivers have colors and that's associated with their size. And I believe that it's a standard. Because I think if you get a black screwdriver, they're all the blade sizes are the same with a black screwdriver. They're also a little taller than the other screwdrivers, like than a white screwdriver. So it's putting this in. Again, make sure you don't strip the threads on it when you're putting it down. Treads are on a truck, threads are on a screw. I think that's what it is. So there we go. So now I can actually reassemble this watch. I'm going to put the balance back on. I'm going to do it under my microscope, but I'm not going to bother showing it. But what I do is I put the balance down like this, like that, on a little bit of a ramp, and then I grab this and I place this in. I use my other hand to screw it in. So I hold this in place with one of these vintage grippers, grip it and rip it devices. I think I got a bigger one than that. Hang on, I gotta pick my bigger vintage gripper. Let me see, there's this one here. Is that a gripper? I think it is. Oh, that's a flat one. That's a flat gripper. This will work too, I think, but I don't want to put any pressure and scrape it. So put that one back, grab another one. This one looks really long, so which means it probably opens pretty wide. There we go, perfect. So this is a good gripper and ripper, and I'll grip this from the side like that. It's pretty handy because it grips and doesn't leave any marks, because you just basically put it down like this and there's no issue. Before I do that, I probably want to put the regulator back in its position so I don't have any issues. Just lift it up a bit and then put it in position. There we go. And so that's in position now, and I just want to grip this because I actually do this kind of left-handed, so. And this won't leave any marks on the plate, this gripper, because it just goes straight down and pinches it, which is nice. So go over to my microscope and just assemble this really quickly. You can assemble it by flipping it upside down and putting the part in. If you flip it upside down, you can do it that way. I think I've showed that a few times. So this is the preference. This is the way I like to do it anyway, but it's hard to record this particular action. All right, one more thing. So I'm just going to test this and see if it's magnetic. Now, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but if I lower this down on this and you see that move like that, it seems to have a pull. So it seems to be a bit magnetic. So I'm going to put this in my vintage demagnetizer and pull it out slowly. So if there is any magnetism there, it should get rid of it. Should line up the poles so I won't have the issue. So the magnetizer I have is the one that works the best is the old one, actually. It's this beast here. It's the beast, I call it. So let me just set this thing up and I'll show you how this works too. Alright, what I do is I put this balance in the beast and then I turn it on and I draw it away slowly. So I put it in there for a few seconds like this. 1, 2, 3. Doesn't seem like it's on. Let's try that again. Alright, I'm going to put it in the beast and then draw it out slowly and see what happens here. The little hairspring's going crazy. And then draw it out slowly, like so. and hopefully that demagnetized it. Looks like the hairspring is stuck together, so maybe it magnetized it instead of demagnetized it. No, that's nice now. No, it's sticking together, so I got to do it again and try to demagnetize it. I think it magnetized it, which I didn't want. I think this thing might be too strong. Just push this together and see if it stays together. No, it doesn't. Seems to be magnetized on one side and not on the other. So I will try the other beast. All right, this is Beast 2. So let's see how well this one does. And I have actually a Beast 3 too if I need to go there, but I have a Beast 3. So I'm going to just do this, press the button, and I think I'll put a pad on the bottom here in case this thing rattles a bit. But press the button and it just will jump a bit, and then I'll just move it upward slowly and then see if it is sticking together. So that is the test. And it tends to stick together again. What the heck? What shitty demagnetizers I have. What a shitty demagnetizer you have, sir. I'm going to hang it and see what happens here. That's probably not a good idea. (1001), 1002, 1003, 4, 1005, 1006. And then you draw it away slowly, upward. And then I'll see if that worked. Oh, I think that one worked. It's not sticking together as much. Let me look at that close up here and see if any of these leaves stick together. No, that one worked. So that worked. So all I do is then I just push the hairspring together like that, and if it sticks together it's still magnetized, and if it doesn't it's not. So that one worked nicely, and the hairspring is not getting stuck together, so that's good. That's the hairspring there, and now I can reassemble this. It's demagnetized. It should be all good. So the way I do this under the microscope is I take the balance here and I line it up so that the stud is pretty much right there, like that, and I can push that down just a bit on the rodico, not too much though. And then I've got the balance cock here, and so when I push this down here on top, I use another screwdriver and I tighten the screw from this side. Now if I were to hold it on this side, then I could use my other hand to tighten the screw. It would probably work a lot better, but that's what I'm going to do right now. There, now I've got the balance on, but I just still need to tighten the screw on this just a bit. So I put it on the dunker tank because it's really well supported, and I'll just go inside here with the right screwdriver, of course. I think I need not a white one, but a yellow one, I believe. Yellow or red? Yellow or black? I'll try yellow. And I just need to grab this nice and tight. So when I turn the screw, it's in position nice and tight. Alright, that's good there. So that's now in place, and I'm going to pop this back into movement. So I oiled the cap on that. I've done everything you need to do. So I'm going to see if this actually runs at all. So I'm going to pop this back into movement and do a little bit of praying. And if it's not working really well, I'd be surprised. But you never know. Maybe time to be surprised. Gotta get everything out of the way, and the camera too, and it's pretty just tip that like that and then put that in like so, and that's to let the impulse jewel get caught up in the and I always put my finger over on the other side because I don't want this thing to fall off. I want the balance cock to fall off the movement and end up on the floor. It worries me. That's what worries me the most, I think. So, and then of course when you put this in the first time, some adjustments might be needed. It's not working right now, so fart with it until it does. I'm gonna have to take it out and put it in again too. It's on the wrong side, so that's when it ends up on the wrong side of the pallet fork. I think it's on the wrong side still. Just use my thumb gently moving it here. Oh, there we go. We got some action. Let me grab the screw here and then put that in, see what I can do here. And it might be just a matter of winding it up completely too. Not sure yet. Change the camera angle a little bit so you guys can see what's going on. And then focus. Alright. I just want this balance to stay in place, so I don't want to be moving all over the place. So put that in. I've done a lot of watches and got them going nicely. And if this one's not going nicely, it's strange because the jewels are all good. The jewels in the top and the bottom are running really nicely. So, oh, there we go. We got some action there. Tighten the balance up here. Seems like it's running. Look at it, see if the spring compression is nice. Yeah, seems to be okay. Ticking away. It's ticking, which is a good sign. And then I'll just wind it up a little more. There we go. There's not much of an amplitude there, but it's ticking. Ticking is good. It means it came together nicely. I'm going to tighten this up a bit and then just move this sideways to see if it stops or anything. So I got to move it around upside down. See what it looks like upside down. Yeah, it looks like it's ticking like crazy upside down. This way is not too bad, but it's not as ticking as well as it does upside down, that's for sure. I'm going to take a video of that and then look at what I can do here. I might not be able to do anything unless I actually dive in and see if that lower jewel is an issue. I didn't think it was. It looked really good. But it might be just getting old, so Mr. Perfection is what I am. Alright, so one way it doesn't have much of a tick on it, but if I do it the other way, where the balance is on the other side, and slow-mo it the other way, let's see what it looks like. So I'll turn this upside down, like that, and then I'll just do a slow motion video of it like this, and see what that looks like. Alright, so that's a slow motion video of it upside down. And I'm going to zoom in on that and see what that looks like. Yeah, that's a lot better upside down. I'm getting better action on the balance upside down than I was the other way. So, still not great, but I guess okay. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to make this thing run well. It's strange that it's not really just flinging right around. So, odd, as they say. But I have to look at the hairspring very closely to make sure it's not caught up or anything, right? So I'll do that under the magnifying glass, I think, or the microscope. All right, I've got it on my e-timer software. And as you can see, it's running slow. Alright, so e-timer software, it's running slow, but it's got 143 seconds, so 43 seconds a day slow, but 243 amplitude. So that 243 amplitude is with the balance upside down, so face up is 243 amplitude. So I'm thinking that the lower jewel, I'm going to have to look at that lower jewel to see if we got an issue there in that lower jewel, because it's running very nicely upside down. But when I turn it around, turn it around the other way, it tends to bog down. So yeah, if I turn around the other way, the amplitude is really bad. So I might have a look at the lower jewel and see what kind of nonsense is going on. So if I look at it the other way and I test the amplitude, it's not so good. Let me just turn this back on again for a second. Yeah, it's a pretty shitty amplitude. Just put it right on top of the balance here. Yeah, but it's running amazingly the other way, which is kind of odd. Kind of odd. Yeah, there we go. So it runs this way, but it's not as good. And it's running amazingly the other way. So I think I might attack that jewel again and see what happens. Alright, I don't like the way this thing runs face down, and I'm not sure why it's running so poorly face down. I'm going to have a look at this jewel once again. It looked good. It looked old, but it looked good. And this snapping nicely, so there's no problem there. And when it's upside down, it runs like a charm. So I may have to take this jewel out again and see if I can find an equivalent. I'm not sure if I can, but I'll see if I can find an equivalent. Put that in its place, and then go from there. Right? It's the only thing you can do. So when you're trying to bring a pocket watch back to life, the last thing you want it to do is to run shitty. So I'm going to do that. So I'm turning that off here. So I'm going to leave this all together and just push the jewel out from this side. I already took out the cap of the jewel, and then I've got to get my collection of jewels out and see if I can find one that's equivalent to this one here. So you just have to push that through. Be very careful, don't bend the pallet fork. It's the last thing you want to do. So there it is there. So now I've got to get my collection of jewels and see if I can find one that's exact same size, same hole as this jewel. And as usual, I'm going to put a little tiny red mark on this jewel, because if I lose it, amongst the other jewels, I'll be all upset and say, oh, was it this one or was it that one? So I've got to go just match this up with these jewels, and you're really eyeballing it to start off with, and then once you get something that's close, then you can basically, then you're putting the jewel into the setting and see if it works. And it's got to be the right size hole in this jewel as well. So these jewel holes are typically, they're usually 0.10 or 0.11, or for the size 16s, and 0.09 rather for really small, like 12 pocket watches and 12 size pocket watches. So it's just a job to try to find the right jewel. So I'm just going to work on that for a while. All right, I think I found the right jewel here, and it's this is the old jewel here, and this is a brand new jewel, and just have to verify the hole size. So this is what it looks like. Get this thing zoomed in nicely here. So there's the jewel. Let me see, move this thing over a bit. Hit this thing with my head. Hopefully you can see that. There's the two jewels. This one here is brand new, so I have to make sure now that it fits on the pivot. So I have to take the balance and turn it upside down. So now with the balance upside down, what I want to do is take this new jewel here and just turn it upside down and see if I can rest that on the pivot. And the pivots look really good on this watch, so I'm going to use a little piece of Rodico then to hold this, and I'll guide that maybe with my tweezers or a toothpick. So, and see if I can just put that on. I've done this quite a few times, but it's tricky. Everything in watchmaking is tricky. Now, if you look at that, the pivot, it goes nicely through there. So it is going through nicely. I'm going to try to get a close-up and see if you can see that. All right, so there's the jewel setting sitting on the pivot right now. And so I just have to see if that jewel setting will actually fit. It looks like it's pretty good. I'm going to look at it from the top and see if there's not too much side shake on that. But the hole size looked exactly the same size as the other one. And we'll see if that works. So let me just see if that fits in there. I can't get a side view of that, I'm sorry, but it's sticking through anyway. Very carefully move the balance out of the way, and I'm going to take this jewel here, it's a very beautiful clean jewel, and see if that fits. If it doesn't fit, I may take my lathe and make it fit. No, I think that's going to fit. I just have to push that down with a piece of pegwood. Look at that. There we go. So that fits almost perfectly. And now I got to grab the cap jewel now and put that in. A lot of work on this watch there, Corey. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. I suspected you thought there might be anyway, right? So, and I'm going to, there's already oil on this, so I'm not sure whether I want to put more on there, but I'll just put a little dab on there anyway. And if this doesn't solve the problem, then it's something else. So, but that is a brand new jewel on there, so it's a nice piece of work. I'm going to put that right on there. Like that, and then put the cap back on the way it is, like this. And once again, I'll just nudge it into place and then put the screws back. And get some pegwood, flat bottom pegwood, and push down here. And then I've got to nudge this because it's not lined up properly, like I showed you in the diagram before. It's too much of a nudge. I moved it all the way. There we go. That's perfect. And now I want to push that down so it's flat. Push all the edges. Make sure it's absolutely flat when it's in there, and then just put the 2 screws in. And I'm just praying this works, because that was a hard jewel to find. There, I just screwed up. I'm rushing into this here because my wife is going to call me for dinner any second now, and she's going to say, "When are you coming down?" And it's going to be recorded, so it'll be on record. This is going to be a long video, my friends. So I've been at this since around 9:30 this morning, and it's 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours worth of work. Just to make the records, let the records show. So when you're doing this kind of work, like I can say that just doing a bit of back and forth with the video probably makes it about 20% longer than it would be, because I'm adjusting stuff and making sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Plus, at the end of all this, I'm going to provide the video to the gentleman who owns this watch, right? Which is really nice, because then you have it forever. You can see how that was worked on and maintained and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of cool. I'm just going to very lightly do that, and then I think I want everybody to pray when I do this again. So you can see a very, very nice brand new jewel movement in there. The old one is right here. I didn't think there was a problem with that, but maybe there was. So it wasn't absolutely perfect. It was just an older jewel, but I didn't think it would have that much of an issue. Maybe it was sideways a bit or something. When you do this, put this back in, I always hold it in my hand like that, and then cap it with your other hand, and then turn it over like this, and then grab it like that. So I've capped it and turned it over so it doesn't fly around. And then grab it in your tweezers and make sure you have a good grip on your tweezers, because you don't want this to let go. And it looks like the pallet fork is in the correct position to receive it. So let me just put this down like that. And I'm doing a little praying here, because I'm hoping this thing just starts ticking like crazy. With any luck, it will. Alright, well, it looks like it's ticking a lot better, that's for sure. Actually, it's doing really well. Let me just move this over and show you. Friggin' thing had a bad jewel on the bottom. I didn't even know it. I looked at that jewel through the microscope. It actually looked pretty good, but there must have been something inconsistent about that jewel, because this, my friends, has absolutely fixed the problem. And I will put the screw in very carefully, and then we shall put it on the timing machine and make sure that I'm not full of crap instead of shit. But look at that thing go now. Holy crap, beautiful. It's ticking like a monster. Scared me for a second there. I had my finger on it. So there it is there. I'm going to put all these jewels back. I'll leave the red one in there, because I'll know the red one was the old one. So, and I think Bori's lucky that I got 300,000 jewels here to pick from, because eventually I'll run out. I keep hunting for these things because they're hard to find. And if I can't find the setting with the jewel, then I end up having to replace the jewel in the setting, and that is not an easy job to do with this size jewel. It's almost it's micro work. It's doable, and I've done it before. And I put a C's jewel in, like the one I put on the top right here. This one right here. That's a Seats jewel. I'm going to move the movement over in a second so you can see it a bit better and not see me plucking away at jewels here. So this is fun to watch, right? Just fun to watch. And this is going to be a long video, and again, I'm going to have to apologize for the length of the video, because someone's going to say, do you have to make your videos so damn long? So there's the movement ticking away now, and that looks really strong. So I'm going to plug in, I'm going to just see how strong it really is. Alright, that's ticking around 240, which is pretty good, but it's running slow. So I'll just adjust it a bit here, because I had it on the slow side when I did this before, so I had to move that over again to be a little faster. And you just hit the wheel on it, and you can't see what I'm doing, I think, but let's see if that made a difference. Nope, still climbing forward, so I'm going to adjust it again, and I'm just going to get this thing, you just have to push it away from you a bit. Man, is it ever running nicely now. And I just put my little mic on top like that, and then turn on my timing device. Yeah, and for this I wasn't checking it for amplitude, because you have to have the mic pretty much over the over top of the movement to get good amplitude on it. So I'm just going to try to speed this up a bit. There we go. Sort of ride that up to here and see what difference this makes. It's running really well. I'm very impressed. I don't know why I'm impressing myself. So there's a little bit of an ego involved. Let's see what this does here. So I think the amplitude is good now. It's a little bit over the map when I'm talking, but it looks like the amplitude is good, and it looks like the actual the rate error is good too. That's not it right there. I've been talking, so. Yeah, that's a good amplitude and everything else. The beat error, I think, is not right on this thing, because I had a much better beat error before. Yeah, there's no way that's the beat error. I think it has to do with where my microphone is on the top. I'm just moving my microphone around now. Anyway, that's good enough. So it's running exceptionally well right now. I'm going to take a slow motion video of this and see what it looks like up in slow motion. I'm using my iPhone right now. And this just tells me if I'm getting a good swing on the thing. So, oh yeah, look at that swing. So there, if you can't, that is a good swing. It's going way past 365, so it's like 390, 400 degrees swing on that. So that's a really, really good amplitude on that watch. So I like to see where it goes in the swing as well, because I can tell. You can actually see the beat error if you look at the swing on the watch and you look at where one arm goes and then where the other arm goes. And the two arms are almost stopping at exactly the same place when they go around. I look at the left side and I look at the right side. And that one's going higher and that one's going a little lower. So that's going to cause a beat error. But I'm not planning on fixing this beat error on this old beater, because I might introduce other problems in it. So I'm going to just case it like I said and see if I can, after I've cased the watch, quesadilla, I will very carefully put this down here. It's been rejeweled, right, which is a very cool. Just hit my head. Yeah, so I'm going to basically put this back together again. I got a couple of pieces over here I got to grab and screw back, and then we're all good, man. It's nothing but joy, as they say, right? So it's got to try to get in there using my screwdriver, and everything else was in the way. I need to put the cannon pinion back down. And I like to do this with I like to push it down with a stake, because I don't like to put pressure on the thingamajiggies on the cannon pinion, the teeth on the wheel. So I try to find a stake that goes over everything, right? That's not it. Gotta be a lot bigger than that, buddy. It's gotta be a lot bigger than that. How about this one? See, I wouldn't have been able to sleep at night with that watch the way it was, even though I was trying to convince myself it was fine. Never do that, because you're lying. You gotta basically go through all of the diagnostics and figure out what's wrong with it, and then fix it. No excuses. I wonder if this one will fit. I'm just getting all kinds of little stumps out here so I can get over the top of this, get this light out of the way because it's hitting my head. And I'm going to line that up like this. That's pretty much perfect going over there. Just to make sure it's not too big. No, that's not good. As I push that down, I'll end up getting it stuck in the steak. Steak stuck. So I need one that's just a bit bigger than that one. I think it was this one here. Let's see if this one here works. You can tell me you work, okay? Perfect. So this one here is perfect. It's probably going to fall out right now. So there it is, and I got to line that up. So this is in place for changing the time. And I got all kinds of glasses on right now, but I got to move this over to the edge here. I apologize because I got to get in close and do this, or I don't want to screw it up. There we go. So that's in place now. So that is in place. How do my cameras go? Lobby-dee-doo-be-doo. So that's that. Then I need to put on this over top. Is that right? Yeah. But before I do that, I need to put this small plate on. Like so. I think this goes something like... I don't think it goes like that, does it? Maybe it does. Does it go like that? It kind of looks like it goes like that, doesn't it? I'll lower my chair. Oh! This is a funky looking plate, man. Funky looking plate. Anyway, this may be a 4-hour video. Yeah, there we go. That is in the right way. And I got screw number 1. That thing is ticking beautifully. I'm listening to it right now. It's the sound of success. Sound of success. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I hear a pocket watch ticking with strength, it's got a new mainspring. It's got two new jewels, or 3 new jewels? 2 new jewels. So a lower balance jewel and an upper balance jewel, and then it's got friggin' everything. It's in pretty good condition, man. This has got a double. Not sure why it's got a double, but it's got a double. Throw that down there, and I want to put a little bend in it so it pushes up on the. Pushes up in the face, because that's exactly what you want it to do. But you don't want to drop it in amongst all the other stuff, right? Just trying to bend it upward. And put it down on the mat here. That's where it belongs. And just bend that ever so slightly. There we go. So it's got an upward bend in it now, like that. And then I can put the face on. And before I put the face on, I just want to get any fingerprints off that really quickly. So I think I saw something on there earlier. Yeah, just look at that in the against the light, so you just let it shimmer a bit, right? And then just take the Rodico and wipe it off. And this Rodico just takes everything off. It's just beautiful stuff. Pas de fingerprints. Pas de fingerprints. They're G-O-N-N-E. Goni. And so I got to put this back on. There's 3 jobby doohickeys. Two of them are closer, one's offset. It looks like it goes like that, like this. So I just have to look, see where the second hand is here. It's sticking up right there. So it goes like this. Like that. And down like this. And I'm probably going to have to fart with it. I didn't want to fart with it, but I may have to fart with it. And it's just one of the, trying to keep my fingers away from the bounce while I'm doing that and not touch anything. Right? And that's what you want to do. I'm not going to adjust my camera again. But I think if I just take this and pull it up a bit on this side, the other side will go down. Or will it? What's going on here? Well, I'm going to play with this for a second. There, it's now in. So now I just have to tighten the screws on this thing and put the hands back on, and we're good as gold. Screw number 1. Try not to touch the face with my fingies here. Screw number 2. And screw number 3. 3 screws of the apocalypse. And let me look at it again, make sure there's no fingy touches here. Before I put the hands back on. The hands! I'm going to go check with my wife and see if dinner's ready, because I don't want her to eat dinner alone, and I'll be right back. Alright, let's finish this puppy dog off. Oh my god. It's a lot of work. So, it's running really well right now. So I'm going to put the hands back on and just let it time for a while. And see where it lands. See where it ends up. Always seems to be harder to put the hands on than it should be. My God. Sometimes I just put the hands on, other times I fart around with it forever, so this could be a fart around time. And you put them on and you look down, see if they're level. And sometimes you have to just adjust it just ever so slightly. And this is just off of the 12 o'clock, so the next one has to go just off of, just before 12 o'clock. I think I usually do this on the mat, not on the watch itself. So, different technique this time, I guess. I feel like I'm doing a sloppy job right now. Now the damn thing's upside down, now it's sideways. So I was downstairs, I told my wife I gotta go back upstairs and finish this watch. And she goes, oh, okay, don't worry about it, I got lots to do. So, here I am trying to finish this watch. and trying to do a decent job finishing it. Now, I push this down and then look at it at the right angle. I'm going to make sure I got the right press here so I don't press too hard. I don't have to press too hard. I do have hand presses that I should grab, see if they work, because these are really nice. I'm not sure if they're too big or not, or too small, or what. There. This is a hand press. Not sure if that's too big or small, but I'm going to try that out. Now, is that at 12 o'clock yet? Sort of is. Which means I'm going to have to move this ever so slightly before I set it down. Now I got to look at it from an angle to make sure it's not too perfeczione. That's nice. And as you can see, it's 12-12. The easier one to do, I think, is the second hand, because you just throw it down like this. Make sure the pipe on it is over the pivot for the second hand, and just put it down. Now, what I don't know is if when I wind that around, is that going to touch anything as it goes around? Hopefully not. Hopefully not. And also, is it going to run around nice and smooth? Let's just get that all the way around like this. So far, so good. And let me look at that distance here. Oh, it's just clearing it, which is nice. I might be able to press that hand down just a bit more, though. It looks like it's up a bit. Just a bit. So you got to make sure that I'll just put it backwards now, which I don't like doing, but I like to see the clearance. Because what you don't want, when you're doing this, set your hand back a bit, wait till the second hand comes around, and when the second hand comes around here, is this hand going to clear that second hand? And that's when you know you're okay. So when you do that, and you're good. So what I'll do is put that second hand right there and then look at it sideways as it comes around. And yeah, there's plenty of clearance there. It's tight, but it's clear, no problem. So that's good. So let me set the time. It's 6:36 right now. I've been at this, like I said, since 9:30 this morning. 6:36. Look at my other watch here because it's perfect time. So it's 6:30, 6:30. So 6:30, 6:30. Kind of right here, somewhere right about there is perfect. And I'm looking at it again, I'm seeing a little tiny bit of fingerprint right there. So I'm going to get rid of that. Anything, all the smudges, I need to get rid of all the smudges. Anything that's a smudge needs to be de-smudgified. Alright, that's a thing of beauty right there. So let me case this baby. You can see what I'm doing up top, but maybe I just back this off a little bit so you can get a better view of it. Alright, I'm going to try to case this watch here. You can see a bunch of fingerprints on the inside here. Hopefully they're not mine. Probably are. They actually look a little bit older than, so they're not new, I don't think. But I can still Rodico them away here, I think. I don't want to put any too much stress on the on this though. So also there's this A little bit of fingerprinting on this side too, just a bit. So I'll be able to clean that up later maybe and just give it a nice cleaning like that. There we go. It gets rid of that nicely. So there you go. So that's that, and now I got to put this back in the case here. So this goes. I just remove this here. I'm going to get my gloves on. Where's my Bugs Bunny glove here? Oh. Here it is. I'm going to turn that the other way around again. Get that glove on so I don't put fingerprints in while I'm trying to case it. Quesadilla. Quesadilla. I'm tired. I've been talking all frickin' day. So there's your talking for you, man. There is your talking. It's been a long day on the bench today, I'll tell you that. I thought I had this problem aced, and then I had the so actually I replaced a jewel on the that one jewel in the face I replaced, and I had to replace the second jewel, which I wasn't expecting to have to replace, which was look at that thing swing. A thing of beauty. A thing of beauty. So this goes in the other way, like that, and upside down. Of course, I'm holding it with my non-gloved hand, so we'll see what happens here. And I want to use gravity a bit to get that in place, because gravity is my friend. I think gravity is my friend. I'll have to set the time on this later, I think, because I just screwed the time. There we go. So that's that. And now I got to put some screws in here. Move this out of the way. And I got to put some screws in the movement here. I'm being really good. I'm focusing as I go kissing. And I'm not sure. I think these screws are pretty much the same. So one here. Get in there. No time to be a pain in the Batinsky at the moment, because I'm casing you regardless. That's one. This is two. This is two. I'm a bit tired right now because I've been at this all day, so I haven't sworn enough today, I don't think. Rats make rat pants. There we go. Let me look at see if there's any more fingerprints on this thing. I can see one right on the bottom there. Just a little tiny edgy print. Do edgy prints count? I don't think so. I'm just trying to get the right view of it here. I think that's it right there. Edgy print. Let me look again. You gotta look at just all the angles here to make sure there's... There we go. No. Nope, it's good now. So now I have to pop the case on. As you can see, the thing is still running exceptionally well. Just saying. I turned out to be a decent watchmaker all these years. So I'm going to close this down right now for safety reasons alone. Holding it on both sides here and try to close it straight down. There we go. So that's closed down on that side. And then I'll close this down on this side. I'm not too worried about my fingers here because this is how you do it anyway. Looks like I'm going to leave it open for a second. And I'm going to put the watch down here. Sorry about all the angles there, buddy. Any buddies that are watching? So buddy's a name you call your friends when you're a PE Islander. So you're like buddy and me other buddy. There's the crystal. Put that on. It's a plastic crystal on this. It's a plastic low dome crystal. So I have to make sure that that crystal, the watch, when it turns around, I don't have issues with that either. So I have to use my fingers to press that down. I'll clean that up after. There's no other way of doing it. I think that's in there now. Yeah, that's in. Yeah, it's completely popped in. And I'll just wipe it down like this. The crystal seems a bit crystally, fakey, but that's fine. It's got a cover on it, so I don't think I need to glue it. But who knows, right? Who knows? It seems a bit... It just moves a bit. But I'm not doing anything on it right now, so... that's winding it, so if I pull that out, that's setting it. Press the button on here and see if that closes. I remember before I was setting it and I was like, this is hard to pull out. There we go. Oh, I know what I did last time. I pressed the button to set it like that, and then when I press the button, you can't set the time. It's like, what is this watch all about? Anyway, I got a bad thumb in this hand too, so I don't like doing this. I'm going to take my glove off for more friction. What time is it? No, it's already, I don't need to set it. It's 6:45. Close enough. 6:46. 6:46. So it's set. That's good. It's wound for sure. Now let's just keep an eye on it for a little while. I think I put some more fingerprints here. I'm Mr. Fingerprint. That's running nice and strong. And once more, if I just throw this underneath it and see what it looks like from a running perspective. The Running Man. One more test and then I'm going to finish this video, folks. Because that's the kind of guy I am. So as far as amplitude, rate and amplitude are absolutely perfect. Look at the amplitude on this, 286 degrees. So it's more than, it's almost, well, it's 500 and some degree amplitude or swing on it, which is amazing. So that is an amazing amplitude for this watch. The beat error is high, but I'm reluctant to fix the beat error because the damn thing is running so well. And if I take it apart to try to rotate the roller table on it to get a better beat error, I may end up with a bigger problem. So, and I also want to test it with my other tool here, which I've got some software here to see if the beat error is decent, because I don't trust the beat error on this friggin' software I have. It tends to exaggerate, if you know what I mean. So let me check this other tool here and see what I can do. Alright, so this says it was running 40 seconds per day fast. I'll check that because I'll let it run overnight. And it says the beat error was 1.5 milliseconds, so that's more like it. That makes more sense. Amplitude was at 258. I had 286 on my other tool. And it was running plus 13 seconds a day on the other tool. This one's plus 40 seconds a day. So we'll just let this thing settle in and see what we're at, and that's it. So that's it. I'm going to finish off in a few seconds. So that's it for today. This is a very, very long video. As you saw, the Pocket Watch is running impeccably right now. I tested it with my Swiss Connect software and 1.5 millisecond beat error. My e-timer had it at like an 8 millisecond beat error, and there's no way it's 8 milliseconds. So I'd have to fart with that to make sure the timer was working properly. But it might be where I put the mic as well, because if the mic's on one side and not on the other, maybe it's picking up more volume on one side and not on the other, so I tested properly. But the amplitude at 286 is crazy good. There's a new jewel on the bottom there of the balance, and there's a very good jewel on the top of the balance. And so I found when it was not working well, I thought that bottom jewel was good. It looked pretty good, but maybe it was rough or something on the edge, and I couldn't see it with the microscope. But you'll see it. It doesn't look absolutely new, but I didn't think it would cause that much of a problem. But I put a brand new jewel and setting in there. So not just the jewel, but the setting as well. So that was good. So the other one I had burnished in a new jewel and used the existing setting because I couldn't find a setting. I think that's what I did. Or no, I put a new setting in there as well. I found a new jewel setting in there too. So anyway, it's running in exceptionally good condition right now. So that's the Pocket Watch. It says plus 13 seconds per day. The other program said 40 seconds per day. So I'm just going to let it run overnight and check it in the morning and see if I can adjust it anymore. But adjusting that for accuracy is not going to be a big deal because the amplitude is so damn good. So that's the Pocket Watch at Illinois. It's a Model 6, Class 109, built in 1912. And watch my gold teeth. Watch my gold teeth. I got gold teeth, Jerry. Gold, I tell you, gold. Anyway, I'm tired. It's almost 7 o'clock at night. I started at 9:30 this morning, and the watch is done. Thanks for watching my channel. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll go forward. And the lesson learned here is that just when you put the darn thing together and there's something wrong, I had fun trying to demagnetize that hairspring, as you saw, but I finally got that done. And that lower jewel, didn't think that lower jewel was going to cause that much of a problem, but managed to replace it nicely. And I found the exact setting for that jewel. Look at that gold tooth. That's fake, by the way. That has to do with my green screen crap. So I've got gold hands too. Look, gold hands, Jerry, gold hands. Anyway, and I'm washed out. I'm the whitest guy you'll ever see in your life. So the boogeyman. Anyway, so thanks for watching my channel again, and I'll see you next time. There you go. Done.